Hey guys, MajFreys here, and welcome back to the MajFreys network on OpenTTD. Now last time we populated this line some more, and I must admit I messed it up slightly in terms of the train release. I think it's sorted itself out now, but at the time it was pretty bad. In fact, you can sort of see still, it gets to about here, it's where the bottleneck is, and obviously some of the trains continue, some of the trains terminate and head back, and that's where it clears up. But overall, I'm fairly pleased with this new extension. I did say about the switches. Where is the... I said we'd have some of these on the new lines. I haven't put any on this line here. I just couldn't really see a point for them on this section, because it is all local services. And we can have a little train that goes from Denfingfield Central to Slaninghead Junction. Sure, we can do that. But I don't really get why express trains would want to go onto the local tracks at this point. I think express should stay express. You know, in real life, most of the switchovers are done in case there's track maintenance and the trains can use different lines. But we're not really doing that, so there's no point in having the switchovers. Is that what they're called? Crossovers. That's what they're called. But I'm very happy with Denfingfield. We're going to have some express trains starting up soon that are going to go between these three stations. You'll also notice, where are we? Back here. I built a new maintenance depot at Montbourne, just so that we wouldn't have the same scenario that we've got with trains going from, not this one, Drunninghead, and then having to go all the way around to Guardtown St. Peter, and then from Guardtown St. Peter having to go all the way around to come back again. It's chaos. So I'm going to leave those trains that are doing that journey at the moment. I'll leave them doing their thing. But it is a pain in the backside, so I've moved new base over to here at Montbourne. Right, today we are going to build the second spur. And this spur is going to be a lot bigger than the first, so we are going to have some switchovers. I'm not going to do it in a time-lapse if I can help it, because I've done a lot of time-lapses recently. The reason I've done a lot of time-lapses recently is because my room gets very, very hot at the moment, especially when recording. And there are times where it just becomes unbearable, and you can sort of hear the moment where it becomes unbearable, where I suddenly go, I think I'm going to do this as a time-lapse. And the honest truth is, it becomes very, very difficult to carry on once the heat sort of kicks in. So, you know, I do my best, I try my hardest, but sometimes it just becomes infeasible. It becomes impossible to actually to do massive recording sessions in a single sitting without having to take breaks. So what I do is I go into time-lapse mode, where I literally record the time-lapse straight after the introduction. The difference being is I can have my fan on when I'm doing time-lapses. Because if I switch my fan on now, you'll be able to hear what it sounds like. This is my fan switching on. You can see I'm looking on Audacity. I can see the sound waves. It becomes absolutely chaotic, so I keep it switched off. I could probably invest in a slightly smaller fan, which means I can record at the same time without you guys hearing it. But whilst I haven't got that facility available to me, we are unfortunately going to have to do... I mean, I'm not going to say we're going to do loads of time lapses, just more than in the past, let's say, especially as the summer's approaching and it's only going to get hotter outside, which means it's going to get hotter inside. And I could open my window, but I have dogs in next door's garden that are quite vocal, shall we say. So again, it makes it very difficult to actually keep cool whilst recording. So that's why I do the time lapses. I wanted to explain that to you guys. It's not because of laziness or anything like that. It's purely the temperature. It gets very, very hot in here. I should bring a thermometer in with me one day and actually measure how hot it gets, just so I can actually sort of justify to myself, if anything, why I choose to do it the way I do it. But anyway, we are building this new line, and I'm going to do it slightly differently to normal. Normally I build the stations and then connect the track. This time round I'm building the track and then connecting the stations, and it's a technique that I used a little bit in last episode. And the reason I'm doing it this way is it's much easier to signal. You put the blocks in first, and then you just build the stations around the blocks, rather than build the stations and then have to keep counting out 8 blocks or however many blocks each time just to then put the next signal in. So you build the track, you signal the track, and then you plop the platforms in the middle, which is what I did here, which is why we've got some staggered platforms a little bit further on the line. And I think actually that makes it quite authentic. There are a lot of stations that have staggered platforms. Hatfield, for example, where I live, that station is very staggered. One platform ends before the next one's even begun. So I think that's a good example. Any other examples that spring to mind? Not off the top of my head. I know there's a lot of tram stops in Manchester that have a staggered approach, especially when there's like road crossings nearby or traffic integration, and that's to stop with like these huge traffic jams actually building up. So I think, yeah, that's definitely something that I would like to bring into this series. Obviously, I'm not going to actively seek it out, but I'm also not going to avoid it. So we should have a nice, unique sort of setup going on with some of our stations, which I think is pretty cool. Right, we appear to have entered a huge countryside section. There doesn't seem to be any major towns on this point. There's a load of cities up ahead though, which I'd like to hit. And I think we're going to build another junction station and actually have some branch lines that spur off. Because, I mean, look at all these towns that we could connect up here. It is ridiculous. So I think what we're going to do is probably go up as far as this place here. Maybe this place here. And have some junctions so that... Where's my track gone? Junctions so that you can come off this way right up to the east side, but also continue heading north. And I think this line is going to end up linking up with one of the north spurs that's been electrified at another station that hasn't been built yet. As I say, this whole map is going to eventually be covered by this network. So some pre-planning isn't a bad thing. You know, it's helpful, if anything. We are lacking a bit of monetary funding again, so I might have to go into my old friend, the Control-Alt-C screen. No one has actually said anything negative about that, so I assume that you guys are okay with me doing that. I don't particularly... I used to have a problem with people cheating. If I saw someone, you know, like on The Sims, if they did the money cheat, I'd stop watching immediately. But nowadays, I can see why they do it. Because when you're a YouTuber, you don't want to be spending all of your recording time sat waiting for money to come in so you can build something. Cities in Motion, I was very lucky in that respect that I ended up building a very profitable first few lines, which surprised me more than anyone, I would say. I wasn't expecting them to be that popular, but that earned me the money. So that a couple of AFK sessions and suddenly I was able to build limitless, no funding at all, just complete unlimited money without cheating. But games like this, where you're constantly gaining and losing money, you see at the moment we've got 75 million. I ended last episode on something like 150, something like that. Obviously I've bought more trains since then, and that's where the money goes. But I always feel like I'm racing against time when I'm building these lines, because I want to get as much in as possible before the money situation drops. I haven't switched off inflation yet. I'm leaving it on just to see if a network of this size can actually be sustainable with inflation switched on. So far, it's been okay actually. If I open up the finance window quickly, you can see we're losing money here because we're buying new trains. Those trains haven't made money yet, which is why we're still operating at a loss, even if you deduct the new vehicles. But overall, this equals about 12 million. The construction and the new vehicles. We've lost about 12 million, so it's starting to even out again. The main goal is just to break even. If I can break even, then I know that it's profitable. Because, as I say, I botched the release of the new trains at the end of last episode. I released them all, thinking that the journey time to Guardtown would actually, you know, the first few trains would arrive late and therefore leave early. Whereas the late trains, by the time they actually got to the station, it would be about their time to leave. Unfortunately, the trains were released in the wrong order, which is why I say I botched it. Because I did just release them and then walk away and go do something else. And because of that, existing trains were held up, which meant I lost money on their deliveries. And I also ended up with a whole fleet of trains, a whole fleet of trains that were running late. So overall, it cost me a lot of money, which is not good. But it seems to have fixed itself, which is good. I like it when it fixes itself, and that's one of the things that I like about this timetabling system is you can release a train whenever, basically, but it has a set departure time from the initial station. So whatever order they're released in, they will continue to run in that wrong order until there's an overtaking opportunity. In which case, the train that's timetabled first will go and overtake the train that's timetabled second, third, fourth, whatever. And eventually they'll find their way back in order and back on time, which is what's happened now. There's still a couple that are running a bit behind schedule, but to put it in context, the episode before last, the trains I built then, one of them was running 118 days late by the time it reached Guardtown St. Peter. By the time it finished its first run, it was back on track again. And that's why we have these sort of extended layovers at big stations. It's for that exact reason. There's platform capacity, and it gives the train an opportunity to, if it arrives on time, it'll just sit there ticking away, building up passengers on board, which, you know, equals more money. If it's running late, then it's also a good thing, because you get you know, it sits for as long as it needs to in order to be running on time again. Whatever if I could get the words out. And then it sets off again. So for example, if a train's running 30 days late and you've got a 25-day wait time at a station, providing it doesn't get held up for any reason, it will leave only 5 days late. And then the next station, if you've got a 10-day layover, it could end up leaving on time. And that's precisely what I use that system for. That's why I really like it now that they've implemented the all trains on a single order. You can actually timetable them to leave one after the other at a set distance. It's definitely made building a hell of a lot easier. When it comes to timetabling, that's now so simple. It's unbelievable how simple that now is. Right, this new line is coming along nicely. I'm doing a little bit more destruction here than I'd have liked, but yeah, it's not too bad, I suppose. It's not too bad. Worse things have happened. That's what I always say. And how far away are we, if we're even in line still with that initial destination that I set? Because the overall goal is to build right up to another terminus. I'm fed up of doing these wide junction stations and then not building any further. We're getting close. I think if we actually relocate it to this point here, we could fit a huge, you know, 8-track station in absolutely no problem. I think that's going to be the goal. So I'm going to put these tracks in first, just so I don't forget where the station is going to be. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now we're going to do the same as before. This track is going to join from this side. I haven't decided yet whether it's just going to join and then split off into 2 again, or if there's going to be a second line. I think there's going to be a second line that comes from over here, because again, we've got loads of these big towns, so it'd be really, really stupid not to actually use them. I also want this track to sort of skirt along this town, so I'm going to pop this in as well, just so I don't forget. These are place markers, slightly different to before, because I was using stations as place markers, and then, as I say, signalling was a nightmare. Whereas now, I'm being a little bit more conservative with my pre-planning. Okay, so we've got that little bit in. Now we need to stretch it across. So if I build this like this, and then build this one like this, and you get the idea, just build these across. Again, this is something else that I've developed from this series, which I'd never really done before. In the past, I used to like building my lines in literally straight lines. Somehow thinking that was making it more efficient, but what you actually end up doing is missing out on a huge area of potential profit. You know, you skip out on huge towns and cities and little communities that could actually provide a lot of passengers to your network. The reason I used to keep things in straight lines was for speed, but now I know that S-bends, as long as you end up leaving in the same direction you started in, you don't actually lose any speed. If you do 45-degree turns, however long they are, so for example, if I was going this way and then I made the track go this way, you would lose speed because it counts as a corner. But if you keep it in a slalom, like we've got here, so it comes in from this side, goes along, and then carries on in that direction, you actually maintain your speed. The only time you will then lose speed is going up and down hills, which Well, not down hills, you gain speed going down hills, but going up hills you lose your speed. And you, to be honest, you expect that, don't you? It's gravity, you know, it's one of the first laws of nature. So that's fine. I used to be against building big hills as well, and you notice that in the electrified track heading north, I dug that huge cutting from Tunville. Whereas now, I don't really care. You know, I don't really. It doesn't bother me if the train goes uphill, because again, it's a part of life. There's a place in England called the Lickey. Is it Lickey Incline? Let me Google that a second. I think it's Lickey, which is a very strange. Yeah, Lickey Incline. Lickey Incline, which is in England. It's just south of Birmingham, according to Wikipedia, and it's the steepest sustained mainline railway incline in Great Britain. And even now, modern trains can struggle to get up that hill. There is always a limit as to how steep a hill can be before a train will just judder to a halt, and it's all to do with friction. I'm using my very, very basic engineering knowledge here, which I've carried over from my old days at uni. It's all to do with friction, so as soon as the train loses friction, it will either grind to a halt or it will start sliding backwards. You want to try and maintain that friction as much as possible, which, you know, the easiest way to do that is to keep it on a flat slope, or flat incline, in other words, no hill. However, you see I'm actually digging a trench out here just so I can get this diagonal in. That's literally the only reason. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be doing it. We have a stupid radio mast. I don't really know what they're for. They're just scenery, but considering that's the only scenery in the game, it's utterly pointless if you ask me. Anyway, if the hill is too steep, your train loses speed, and that's exactly what happens in this game. If the hill is too long, in this case, your train loses all its speed. And the original days of our freight line, we actually had a situation where a coal train was travelling at 1 mile an hour because of the incline that it was trying to climb up, which, I mean, 1 mile an hour. It had a queue of like 16 trains behind it as well. It was utterly ridiculous. It was so bad. But now, you know, I've doubled up the number of engines on the freight trains, and the passenger trains actually seem to maintain their speed quite nicely. It's all to do with modern traction units. The engines in trains these days, as I say, they still struggle, but they are a hell of a lot more powerful. And it's not just brute force. It's not brake horsepower at all. It's tractive effort that actually creates the force needed to get the train up the slope. So don't be, you know, if you see a train with minimal horsepower, don't be put off by it, because it's actually its tractive effort that's the clincher. So I've waffled on for a little bit, and in doing that, I've built this new station. So we're going to put the waypoints in, and I've put them the wrong way around because I'm good at that. That's the slow, that's the fast. These are going to be up because they're heading towards Guardtown. Now this is where we know that we've got a huge network being built. The fact that we're getting so many of these new lines in place. Most of the trains that run through this station won't even make it as far as Guardtown because it is such a long way away. The express trains will, obviously, because why wouldn't they? But these local trains, some of the extended services might do, but the rest, not really. Right, how long is this? Because we want this station to be 8 tiles long. So there. So what I'm going to do, and this is rare for a station of this type that I've built, is I'm going to take all this back and I'm actually going to slope it down here. So these signals are going to be all on a slope. Now this is actually a good idea, and this is something else that I was going to talk about with regards to hills. London Underground. We all know it. We all love it, I hope. It can be a bit of a pain at times, but we'll gloss over that for the sake of this this story. London Underground is a very clever system in which it gets its trains to accelerate and decelerate. Now obviously they have engines and they have brakes, that's fine. That helps with accelerating and decelerating. But something that they've done on some lines, the Victoria line springs to mind. I'm not sure how many of the old lines have this system in place, because they were probably built before this system was devised. But it's a very basic use of gravity. Every station, bar a few on the Victoria line, is built on the top of a slope. So that means that as the train approaches the station, it slopes upwards, which slows the train down. It means less effort in braking. Gravity does all the work. which reduces wear on the brake pads, which is exactly why it was done in the first place. Going down from the station, obviously the track slopes downhill. And again, that helps with acceleration. You need less effort to get the train moving, which again is fuel efficient. That's a very, very clever idea. It's also one that's been used on the high-speed network in sort of London and Kent. Stratford International Station definitely springs to mind. I think the reason it was actually built is so that the station was close to the surface, but it comes out of this really long tunnel uphill, stops at the station, then accelerates back downhill into another tunnel. And it could just be an amazing coincidence that they happen to build it on a slope like that, or it could be done for the exact reasons that I just said. It's been done for, well, yeah, acceleration and braking purposes. What am I doing? Signalling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There. Which means this one goes there. These are going to be placed 9 apart. And then we click and we drag. And that's done every single signal over to that new station. Then we come over to this. We turn it to 17. We put these ones there like that. That's in the wrong place. That needs to go there. I think that's in the right place now. And then we do the same thing. Click and drag. And that's done all the express signals. They're a little bit off, but I don't mind that. If they're off by a tile, that's fine. If they're off by more than a tile, like here, it's going to be a bit of a inconvenience, but we'll gloss over that. As long as the outside tracks and the inside tracks match with the other outside or inside track, that's all I care about. Because that means we can actually put platforms in very, very easily. Like, for example, and I'm going to be very lazy here, I've been doing this a lot as well, which you've noticed, I'm sure. I'm just going to build the base platforms in first. That's... there we go. Build the base platform in first, and then build the... where's the signal? Oh, there. Yes, sorry, base platform in first, and then build the decorative ones at a later date. And already you can see these platforms are going to be staggered, which is pretty cool. I like that. Now we're going from the junction backwards. It doesn't matter which way you go, really. It makes no difference. I'm just doing it this way because this is where I happen to be. Again, where's the signal gone? Alright, it's there. So I can't actually fit a 7-tile platform here unless, and this is something else I did in the last episode, which again you might have picked up on. If I do that, it means that the signal then moves onto the slope and I can fit the rest of the platform in, which is perfect. Again, it's staggered. I'm not quite sure why it's staggered, because the... oh, I do know why it's staggered, because it goes around a 45-degree turn. I do know that. I even said that just now. I can't believe I forgot that already. I really struggled to find the signals on this track. There's one there. Wait, where is it? I've lost it already. There. Right, so this platform's going to go here. This is Valley. And you can see there's just enough space between signals to build a station. As you get closer to the city in real life, the signals get closer together, and that's all to do with block spacing, making sure trains run smoothly. I'm just looking at this actually because I've just had an idea. On this game, that's what I wanted to say. On this game, I originally wanted to keep the signals far apart, but actually, in some cases, having them relatively close together isn't such a bad thing. On this line, for example, it means trains just keep moving, which is what we want. You know, in some places it can be a bit of a pain, but I try to sort of not let that affect things. If I have to change it in the future, then I will, but if I don't have to, then I tend to avoid it if I can. Now you notice I'm putting these 4 platform length stations in as well. That's all to do with the idea of fast, semi-fast and local. Now semi-fast in this case will be what is normally... actually semi-fast is the new one. Fast is obviously goes from one station to another without stopping at any intermediate stations. Local is the one that stops at every station along the way. We're going to do a hybrid of that, the semi-fast, which is going to stop at all 8-tile stations but not the 4-tile ones. And that means that some of these stations, although they're crucial on the line itself, they're not actually that crucial in terms of... oh, like passenger numbers. So ones like this one, for example, Flintbridge Mill. We've already got a station in Flintbridge and every train stops there, so we don't necessarily need every train to stop there. Same with this one. No, Feffingfield Heights. We have a station at Feffingfield. That's a real mouthful, by the way. In this case, though, we are going to put 8 tiles platforms because it's the first station outside of the junction. So, again, it's just another chance for people to swap onto a slower or faster train if they so wish. And that's that bit done. That's that spur done. Now, we're not quitting here just yet, because the second part of what I want to build, well, first of all, I want to build this station, and I'm just going to do the really lazy version. Off camera, I will go ahead and beautify this. I'm going to stop doing it on camera, though. You're just going to see where the platforms are built, and that's it. Because you don't need to see me decorating every single platform, do you? It gets a bit repetitive after a while. You know what platforms look like. You've seen enough of them. You don't need me to keep holding your hand and telling you this is a station and this is what it looks like, because, you know, that's a bit patronising, if anything. So that is... actually, I'm just going to put a little... suffix on here, so that we know that that's heading towards Guardtown St. Peter. That's mainly for express trains, though, but as a reference as to where you are and where you're going, that's what it's for. Now, I want to build the second spur of this, and I'm struggling to see which one I should... I think I should do this one that carries on going north, because eventually this one's going to curve off to the east. Actually, no. No. This one's going to curve west. This one's going to go north, and this one's going to curve east. So again, this is a compass station. It's going to cover all 4 points on the compass. So what we actually want to do is build out from this one. And it also creates some operational interest, because then you get trains that are sort of swapping over at junctions. It can cause a bit of, you know, traffic congestion, but if you manage it well with signalling, it's not really an issue. It just becomes a nice thing to sit and watch, rather than something that's very, very irritating to have to try and deal with all the time. Now, as before, I'm going to try and skirt around this town, and already I've missed the mark by quite a considerable distance. Just take this back. We're going to build it here and go through this hill. Like so, and then just keep doing this. Like that. And we are going to do a little bit of demolition, just so that the platforms are slightly close to the city centre, otherwise you don't get as many people on board as you'd like. Eventually, and this is something that I'm really putting off doing, because I just hate doing it, but eventually all these towns and cities will have bus lines and tram lines in as well. The reason I hate doing it is because when you build trains, it's very easy. You literally put a line down, you build a train, you set it on its timetable plot route, and then when it gets back, you just clone it a few times and you set it on its way, and it's done. When you do buses, they don't follow one after the other in a nice line. They all split off and go their own way, because they're basically free to travel on any road they wish. They're not limited by rail, like the trains are. So you end up with this huge mishmash of vehicles. And I don't know why my voice went really high then. You end up with a huge mishmash of vehicles, all struggling to go in the same direction to the same place, but taking different routes. So like if a bus turns left, that route then technically becomes blocked, so the next bus will go straight on and try and go around that way. And you just end up with an endless queue of buses, and it's absolute chaos. And trams are really bad, because they are limited by rail, but only, you know, up to a point. If you build loop lines at either end, they will use those loops, and they will use those loops at totally the wrong time. And you end up with, again, a huge mishmash of vehicles. I've reset the tram lines 3 times since I built them, because the number of vehicles that were just queuing up one behind the other. It's impossible. And what makes it worse is the actual trams themselves are totally the wrong size for the tram stops. They're all like a tile and a half long. So because they still jut out into the road, you don't even have the case of once one stop is occupied, the tram will then go and occupy another stop. It doesn't do that. It queues behind it because it's stuck. It actually can't reach the junction in order to go to the next available stop. So you do end up with this huge chaotic clump of vehicles. And it's almost impossible to undo, because it's very difficult to actually get trams to turn round as well. So it's an absolute nightmare. Buses are easier than trams, definitely, but out of all of them, I mean, aircraft are the easiest because they're free to go wherever they want, but they are still limited by runway. Ships are the second easiest because, you can still, the water is a lot freer than air in that sense. But if two stops are too far apart, then you need buoys to actually act as waypoints, which again can be a bit of a headache. And sometimes they get bottlenecked in tight parts of water and all that stuff. Rail is the third easiest because, as I say, you build a line, you plop a train down, and off you go. You're done. And then it goes into road vehicles. And, actual road vehicles first, tyres on tarmac, and then trams are the hardest. I hate trams on this game. They're so messy. Very, very messy. And actually, having played City Skylines quite a lot recently, their tram system's a bit messy as well. They could do with a timetabling system, is what I'm saying. Anyway, we'll just we'll move on from that because I'm moaning a little bit, and I don't want to criticise this game because it is a fantastic game. The fact that it's free, anyone can download and play it, is just brilliant. It's so cool because it's not like a lot of free games these days have in-game transactions, which for me ruin the game. I don't want to be playing a game and then have to spend, £5 in order to play the game just a little bit from that, because I'm moaning a little before. It's pointless. So the fact that this game is free to play in the first place, and then all online content, providing you go to the right sources, is also free, is brilliant. This is a game from my childhood. I played this game for years, and then I thought I'd never get the chance to play it again when modern computers came out, and, it wouldn't support the game anymore. So when I first heard about this, I was so excited that I could actually not quite relive my childhood, as it were, but go back to a game that I absolutely loved playing as a kid. And I've heard rumours to start with, but I've actually seen it with my own eyes. They're actually doing a Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 version of this as well. Open RCT 2, I think it's called. Which again is fantastic news, because that's a game I love playing. Add to that games like Planet Coaster and RCT World, and even to an extent still Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and No Limits 2. There's so many games of this genre that are out these days. And, when I was a kid, you had the sort of things like Railroad Tycoon and the original Transport Tycoon, and then Transport Tycoon Deluxe, and I think there was Traffic Giant it was called, or Industrial Giant. But a lot of it was sort of first-person shooters or platforming games like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. That sort of thing. I wouldn't really call them platformers, but that sort of ilk of game. Whereas now you've got all of these simulators are coming back into popularity. Things like Euro Truck, American Truck, Flight Sim, Train Simulator. These are all games that I used to play their predecessors and loved playing, and then they just stopped making them for years. Now they've brought them back again. And this game especially, I mean, it certainly hasn't kick-started the revolution or anything like that. I would say that actually I wouldn't really know which one kick-started the revolution, because I think they all did in their own way. They all appealed to different audiences, which then got people interested again. But I'm just pleased they're back. It's fantastic. And it led to games like Cities in Motion 2, Train Fever, now Transport Fever, which is its sequel. All of these huge games that are now being released and are selling by the millions were all spawned by games of this type, which effectively died out. Right. This is going to be a main station here because we're technically connecting two big cities and a big town. Frunton, Slunningwell Ridge, and Dannington. I really wish they'd improve the names of these towns, though. I think there is a mod that does that, but I haven't actively sought it out, and I certainly can't implement it into this game. And that is one thing I'm not very happy with, is you can't, once you've started a game, you can't add extra GRFs. You're stuck with what you've got. Apparently there's a developer's way of getting around it, but I don't really want to hack my game just to add something which I may or may not even use. That sort of comes across as a little bit pointless. But this is a main station. It's going to be connected up to the express lines as well, as you can see. I'm missing some crossovers. That's fine, because I can put these back in. Something else I like about this system that I've got is you can always tell where there's track missing. So here we have all the track in place, which is brilliant. This will also be another terminus point, because I think we've built a lot of stations since the... well, actually, no, not that many. Not that many, come to think of it. So this probably won't be a terminus, thinking about it. I think this will just be a station that mainline trains can also stop at. So I think we'll cut this connection, and we'll cut this connection. And then we'll cut these two. And just to make it a little bit easier, we'll cut these as well. So we're going to have a through line, which is what this is. And then we're going to have the stopping lines. And this is going to be one of the first switches is actually going to be at a station. So that's the other end. Like that. So on this direction, these ones are signals, and then on this direction, these ones are signals. We won't put signals on the express lines, because the idea is once you've hit that, any train in the platform, any train in the platform has to wait for the express train to go past before it can pull out anyway, so might as well sit and wait. And there we go. Need to put the other crossovers in, which is fine. We can do that. It's nice and easy. And there's the basic station. Now this one, I could actually go ahead and put the platforms in now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do all the platforms and stuff off camera, and I'll do all the train... Whoops. I'm not very good at this terraforming tool. I'm going to do all the train planning and stuff off camera as well, because as I say, you guys, you know what it looks like now. I don't have to keep doing it. If anything, I imagine it's boring you. You don't want to see all that, do you? You just want to see lines being built. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Now this is going to be a tricky section of line, because I'm not going to build bridges. I'm literally going to just stretch it across like this. Because there are some sections of line, like I said, the Licky incline, that does that. It literally just goes down or goes up and then does the opposite on the other side. They go through valleys, for example, or they go over hills, which is what the Licky incline does. It goes over a huge section of hill. Don't ask me which hills, actually, I don't know. Does it say here? It does not. If you go on YouTube, though, and search Licky incline, you will see loads of videos of steam engines struggling, shall we say, to actually get up the hill. It is very, very, very tricky. And it's not just... I mean, it's a steep incline, but to my knowledge, it goes on for a long, long period as well. So it's a huge struggle, to say the least. Right. I would like to get this line finished in today's episode. Actually take it to a place where I'm happy to call it a terminus. And I would like it if that was possible. It might end up with an extended episode, but I don't know. Sometimes I like to do that. Sometimes I like to just say, you know, screw it, let's do a longer one for today. And you'll notice this a lot more as this network expands. They're not just little extensions anymore. There'll be huge projects costing a lot of money to actually build this. And I say costing a lot of money because I've just taken a look down at my finances screen and it's making me want to cry. All of our money is disappearing again. Oh, wow. We are losing money. By the shed load. And what's worrying is we don't seem to be getting it back. No, we're losing more money than we're getting. Well, this one we lost 22 million in vehicles and construction, and we gained... we had an overall loss of 21 million, which means we would have had a profit that year. This year, we would have made a loss. Last year, we would have made a loss of 4 million. That's heavy. Where's the money going? That's actually quite worrying. I'm going to have to go through and see the list of all trains that are losing us money. So I imagine the freight trains will be the part of the reason. Profit last year. Well, actually, no, it's these local stoppers. They're full on passengers, though, so I don't know why they're losing money. Maybe it's because they run quite a long way apart still. Or they're still picking up passengers from a long time ago, which means they're operating at a loss. That's probably the reason. That tends to happen. Very annoying. Right. This railway, by the way, in the future, I would like to electrify it. Not all of it, just the core route. And that's going to be my version of simulating modernisation, shall we say. So in England at the moment, there's a huge I mean, there's loads of railway projects going on at the moment. There's Crossrail, there's High Speed 2, there's the Thameslink programme, there's general sort of London Underground improvements which never seem to end. Every time something is improved, it then needs to be improved again for some strange reason. Up north, there's that new link in Manchester that I was talking about a few episodes ago. What else have we got? There is a new link line planning to be built. It's currently called High Speed 3, but I think that's a push. But it's going to connect sort of Manchester, Liverpool over to Newcastle, I believe, or Hull, I think is the target. Again, it's been given a nickname, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. It's like the Northern Powerhouse, I think, is what the actual area is being called. But it's basically a competitor to Crossrail, but on a grander scale, obviously. I'm just going to get some more money quickly whilst I'm talking. But the main idea is modernisation and improvement. So also down by London, you've got electrification of the Great Western Main Line from Paddington, although Paddington itself is already electrified, but going down towards, again, I've forgotten the main details. I think it's Swindon, through that way. If it's not already electrified, it will be. And then down towards Bristol, I believe, is the overall goal there. Someone tell me in the comments if I'm right or not, because I'm probably way off. But that's one project. There's also a project to electrify the Midland Main Line, which is, again, it goes through Nottingham, Leicester, no, not Loughborough. Where else does it go? There's other places where it goes anyway. Oh, actually, no, Loughborough I think is one of them. I think Loughborough is one of the stations, actually. But that's a huge project that's currently going on. And it's actually all been delayed at the moment as well, which I don't really know how that could happen when they haven't even started yet. And yet they're already behind schedule. Something to do with planning. But it's made this huge problem because all these train operators, TOCs, train operating companies, they've all bought this new electrified stock ready for the upgrades, and then the upgrades have been put back by several years, which means that there's actually loads of these trains being built, which for a very long time aren't going to have anywhere to run, which is causing chaos. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, it's all about modernisation and improvement. So this is currently a diesel line, and there's nothing wrong with diesel lines. They're actually very, very good. There's something about them which sort of harks back to history. The fact that there's no overhead wires in the way. You get a nice clean view, both out the window of the train and from the side of the track looking at the train. But electric is the future. All these lines now are being modernised and upgraded and electrified, and they're all going over to a line-side signalless system. And it's all very modern, and it's very nice, and it's very bright, and it's very shiny. I need to find a way to incorporate that into this series, and especially into this network. So this line is one of the main trunk lines of the map, in the fact that it's basically going from north to south. Sort of skipping Guardtown, but there will also be options to head to Guardtown. Guardtown is sort of starting to become like Birmingham, in that there's so many different ways you can get to it, but there's also so many different ways to avoid it. I mean, Birmingham's the second biggest city in England. It's absolutely huge in comparison to what some Americans call cities anyway. Although, I mean, that's a slight dig actually, which is probably not a good idea. But anyway, it's the second city, is what it's considered. There's this thing, if London gets attacked for any reason and ends up going off the grid, Birmingham becomes the capital city of England. And, you know, why not? It's a big city, lots of people live there, it's got good transport links. The point, again, I'm trying to make, I keep going way off tangent with what I'm trying to say, it's unbelievable. The point I'm trying to make is, Guardtown is like our Birmingham, in that it's a very major city in the middle of the map. Lots of routes in, lots of routes out, lots of possibilities. High speed, there's going to be a high speed line connecting to Birmingham when High Speed 2 is built, which again is very exciting, looking forward to that. Although it's going to be a long time before it's actually built by the sounds of it, but anyway, again, I'm tangenting. Guardtown is Birmingham. I'll end it there. Lots of possibilities, lots of different route options, avoiding, not avoiding, and even the West Coast Main Line. There's a branch that completely breaks off. I think it's north of Birmingham, thinking about it. But there's one line that goes via Crewe, and then there's one line that completely avoids Crewe. and just carries on going up to Carlisle, I believe, is the point where they meet up again. Or maybe Crewe is where they actually meet up again. I don't know. I need a map in front of me in order to get my facts straight, and I can't be bothered to get one up on my laptop at the moment, so you're just going to have to go on the top of my head. I've been on the route like twice on an actual train, so it's fair to say that I don't travel that route very often. The reason I am still gassing though and wasting time is because this line is still not finished. This episode is a very long one. It's probably going to be pushing an hour by the time we actually get to the end of it. I'm very tempted to break it up into 2 parts. Just so it's not a huge wad of footage for you to have to sit and watch. They both will be released on the same day though. I wouldn't make you guys wait like 2 to 6 days to actually see the next episode, because that's harsh. They'll be released on the same day, but given times, they'll be a half-hour long if this is an hour episode, and they'll be spaced an hour apart, so you can actually watch one and then you can have time to catch your breath and you know, whatever it is you need to do, and then the next one will start. Right, I have a plan for this, and it comes to being near the end of the episode. This line here is going to be another point where local and express can swap over. This station, sorry, not this line. And there'll be a station built down here. Oh, actually, no. Take this back. We need to flatten some land. Huge demolition project. Please don't hate me. Huge land flattening. Again, please don't hate me. Got a huge hill coming out of this, which again, operational interest. Very, very interesting to see how the trains cope with that. There's the track. What we're going to do is we're going to have London Bridge springs to mind, and Blackfriars. And again, I can only use English examples, and I apologise for that, but these are the only ones I know. I don't go on many, you know, lines outside of England, so my next port of call would be Australia, but I can't really think of any that do this in Australia, because, you know, even then, the parts of Australia I go to, they kind of have a system that works very similar to sort of regional lines in England, so it doesn't really work. Anyway, that's one station. It's a terminus, you might have noticed. I want to make sure that the platforms are the right length. So that's, yep, that's all good. Signals can go along here like so. That's one bit done. And then there'll be a huge diagonal line that'll go along like that. This section, here onwards, is going to be very different, in that it's almost identical, but not. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now why have I done that, I hear you ask? And that is, we're going to have a terminus side of this, and again that's why I say London Bridge and Blackfriars. We're going to have a terminus side and we're going to have a through side. And I've completely buggered up the terraforming again. There we go, sort of fixed it. And just do this little bit just to tick it off. There we go. Right, so this is going to go all the way down like this. That's one side. This one's then going to go all the way down like this. This one's then going to go all the way down, and I've already messed this up actually. I can fix this, it's fine. It's fine. The platforms are now 1 square longer. And I'll explain why in a second. Some of you might have already figured it out, actually. I don't give you guys enough credit. Anyway, wasting time, yet again. I'm good at that. I also don't know why I'm doing this, because this is going to be the start of our very, very steep uphill climb out of this station. Very steep, as you can see. Almost endless. How the trains are going to cope with this, I do not know. Hopefully they're already up to speed at this point, so it's just a case of maintain your speed. And actually, I've done this completely wrong. Completely wrong. How have I let myself do that? That's ridiculous. I need the centre 4 lines. So 1, 2, that one. 1, 2, no, that one. And that one. These are the centre lines, the 4 centre lines. These are the ones that are going to climb up the hill. Not those other ones. I don't know why I even thought that. That's ridiculous. What an idiot. Right, there we go. And I haven't done the fourth one. That's fine. We can just pop that in. All this terraforming. I'm going to have to build so many trees just so they can plant so many trees even. Just so they'll let me... I still haven't done this right, have I? I'm going to have to plant so many trees just so they'll let me actually build the platform. There we go. Now it's done. I finished it, guys. Right, and then this one goes straight across like this. This one goes straight across like this. And then this one, and then this one, and so on and so forth. Again, you know how these crossovers work. I don't need to hold your hand and explain them to you. These ones are just going to go up, basically connect all the way up across like this. This is where stations get a little bit ugly, but also it helps with operation like that. And in fact, just to make this work a little bit more efficiently, I will go back to my original design of... No, it's not going to work. Never mind. I was going to say I'll go back to my original design of not having that connect all the way up, but then actually there's no way for trains to get across into that platform, which then makes that platform totally redundant. Which really does defeat the point of it existing in the first place when you think about it. We need to draw this one across as far as there. Just want to check, yep, that fits perfectly. And then this one goes as far as there, and then this one to there, and then this one. That one as well, and that one. I think that works. It's a little bit weird how this works, but the whole thing is the way that the actual platforms are built. This is our station anyway. Just like that. We're going to have some sidings down here. But mainly only for this bit. And actually, I don't know why... I've done it again. Don't know why I've done that, because this is a through station. So, you know, trains go through, they don't terminate. So we need it like that. And then this will come across like so. That will come across like so. And then this will go off into yonder distance again. But we'll focus on that some other time. Because we're not interested in that right now, we're interested in this end of things. So, sharp climb out of the trench that we've dug ourselves here. Where's the other track? Over here. So this will be the first... The first station will be the first one that we will then build on this this next bit. I'm really losing my words right now. That's how I know I've been recording for a long time. I lose what I'm saying and I start speaking absolute bullcrap, basically. If I go silent, it's literally because I've got nothing else to say and I'm just focusing on building. At least that's where my efforts go. I might talk like a moron, but I build like a pro. That's what I like to believe, anyway. Again, your opinion is what matters on that one, not mine. Right, we're nearly done. We're nearly done, guys. We're nearly done. We're so nearly done. I'm just going to connect the track and build the signals, and then off camera I'm going to do the rest, because it's just... Ugh. It's a long episode. Long episode. At the start of the next episode I'll then talk you through what I've actually done with regards to stations and trains and all of that stuff. Don't you worry. We're going to get some, as I said, fast, semi-fast and local. All on this track. So there's plenty to do. In terms of planning and building and constructing and creating and manufacturing and producing. All that stuff. Guys, we have done it. We have bloody well done it. Freedom of a sort. One thing we do need to do now is signals. I'm going to signal on camera. Did I say I was going to signal on camera? I think I did. We need to turn this back down to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9. That's the first one out. And then it becomes very simple at this point. You simply go along to the next one, pop a signal No, I had it right the first time. One there and one there. You rack this back up to 17, and you do this. And now that's the express signals done. Express is always 2 blocks longer than local. You might have noticed that. That's just because, you know, express trains run faster. If there's a slower train on the track for any reason, it just gives the train time to speed up and slow down safely. And without causing absolute chaos. Because actually I don't care about safety on this game. Safety isn't a factor in this game. Trains crash and people die, and that's very bad, but you can easily avoid that, so it doesn't really become a factor. And I probably sound really heartless saying that, but I mean it in a way of you don't have to worry about it. I don't know. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm just going to carry on placing signals. What I mean is, it's all about efficiency. That's what it's all about. That one there, and wahaha, wrong place. Get rid of that one. Put it up to 17. And that's it. I believe that is all of it, guys. Got this really snaky, slalomy track that cuts its way through all these different towns and cities. And then eventually you hit the slope to end all slopes. And it cuts down into the town of, what is this place called? Honford and Ponningwell. And these people are going to hate the hell out of us right now, aren't they? Well, they don't think anything of us yet. That could play into our hands. What about Ponningwell? Again, they don't think anything of us. Fair enough. I might be able to build this station in. But, as said, guys, that will all be happening off camera, because it is very much time to end this episode. I am going to link this track up very, very quickly and put these signals in, just so that I don't end up forgetting to do that. And that's it, guys. That is the end of today's episode. So, all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, be sure to click the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you guys for your continued support. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series, and I will see you... No, until next time, I will see you soon.